Empress Dragon catches her human mechanic. Eating in the rain, what he discovers will break his heart. The rain fell in sheets across the landing pad, each droplet hissing as it struck the still warm hull of the Crimson Sovereign. Chief Mechanic. Marcus Webb sat on an overturned fuel canister, hunched over a ration pack, letting the cold water soak through his maintenance coveralls. He didn't notice the massive shadow that darkened the doorway behind him. Empress Shakara, Supreme Commander of the 7th Talon Fleet, stood at her full 12 feet of scaled majesty, her golden eyes narrowing as she observed her human engineer. The other species in the galactic community often mistook her kind for actual dragons from human mythology, a comparison that both amused and irritated her in equal measure. Chief Webb, her voice rumbled like distant thunder. Explain yourself. Marcus nearly choked on his protein bar. He scrambled to his feet, water streaming from his hair. Your Majesty, I was just eating in the rain like some sort of swamp creature, Shakara finished, her tail swishing with barely contained irritation. You have perfectly adequate quarters. The mess hall serves food far superior to that compressed waste you're consuming. Yet here you sit, drenched and shivering. Marcus wiped the rain from his face, offering a weak smile. Just needed some air, ma'am. The recyclers in the engineering bay were giving me a headache. It was a lie. Shakara's nictitating membranes flicked across her eyes, a telltale sign she knew it too. In the 3 years Marcus had served as her chief mechanic, she'd learned to read human expressions almost as well as her own kind. Inside, now. It wasn't a request. Her private quarters were as imposing as the Empress herself, high ceilings, temperature controlled to the sweltering heat her species preferred, and furnished with the spoils of a dozen conquered worlds. Marcus stood at attention, still dripping on her imported Kalarian rugs. Sit, Shakara commanded, gesturing to a human-sized chair she'd had installed 6 months ago. And tell me the truth this time. Marcus hesitated, then sank into the chair. The exhaustion seemed to hit him all at once, his shoulders sagging. It's nothing, Your Majesty, really. Marcus. She rarely used his first name. In 3 years, you have kept my ship operational through 14 campaigns, 2 asteroid fields, and 1 direct hit from a plasma cannon that should have vaporized us all. You work 18-hour shifts and never complain. But for the past week, you've been avoiding the crew, skipping meals, and apparently eating in the rain like some sort of depressed amphibian. Despite everything, Marcus almost smiled at that. Then his face crumbled. Today's the anniversary, he whispered. Shakara's head tilted. Anniversary of what? The day Earth burned. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Shakara felt something cold settle in her chest, an unfamiliar sensation for a species that literally breathed fire. She knew, of course, that humanity's homeworld had been glassed by the Zalthor Dominion 5 years ago. It was ancient history by galactic standards, just another world lost in the endless territorial disputes that plagued the outer sectors. Humanity had already been spreading across the stars by then. The species survived, but she never considered what that meant for the individuals. For Marcus. The Zalthor claimed Earth was harboring resistance cells, Marcus continued, his voice hollow. They gave us 6 hours to evacuate. 6 hours for 8 billion people. The ships that got out were overcrowded, breaking apart at the seams. My parents, they were in the lottery for evacuation tickets. They didn't win? They won. Marcus's laugh was bitter. They gave their tickets to me and my sister, said they were too old for space travel anyway, that young people needed the chance to rebuild. I was 23. I watched the evacuation ships jump to FTL from the viewport. Then I watched the bombardment begin. Shakara lowered herself to the floor, bringing her massive head level with Marcus's. In all her centuries, she'd orchestrated the fall of empires, commanded fleets that blotted out stars. She'd thought herself immune to such soft emotions as sympathy. She'd been wrong. You've never spoken of this before, she said quietly. What's there to say? It's done. Humanity survived. We scattered across 1,000 systems, hired ourselves out as engineers, soldiers, mechanics. We're good at adapting. It's what we do. His hands clenched into fists. But every year on this day I remember that I'm only alive because my parents chose my life over theirs. And I eat in the rain because it's the only time I can cry without anyone seeing. The revelation struck Shakara like a physical blow. Humans leaked water from their eyes when experiencing emotional distress. She'd read that in the species primer but had never witnessed it. Marcus had been hiding his grief in the rain, disguising his tears as mere water. The cruelty of that broke something in her she didn't know could break. "Your parents gave you a gift," Shakara said slowly, choosing each word with care. "But you've transformed it into a burden. They didn't sacrifice themselves so you could spend your life drowning in guilt." "I know," Marcus whispered, "but knowing and feeling are different things." Shakara extended one massive claw, gently placing it on his shoulder, a gesture that took tremendous control given the difference in their sizes. "Then feel it here, in warmth and safety, not alone in the rain like some creature deserving of exile." She paused, then added something she'd never offered before. "I lost my clutch mother to war when I was barely fledged. For years I believed honoring her meant carrying the pain alone, letting it forge me into something harder. But hardness without warmth is merely brittleness waiting to shatter." Marcus looked up at her, really looked, perhaps for the first time seeing past the Empress to the person beneath. "Your parents chose life for you," Shakara continued. "So live. Grieve when you must, but do not hide it like shame. And certainly don't sit in the rain catching cold. Humans are absurdly fragile. I need my mechanic functional." For the first time in days, something like genuine warmth touched Marcus's expression. "Yes, Your Majesty." "Good. Now you'll stay here tonight. My quarters are adjustable for human temperature tolerance. Tomorrow you'll tell me about your parents, what they were like, what they loved." It's time their memory was spoken aloud, not just carried in silence. As Marcus finally allowed himself to truly rest, Shakara understood something she'd missed in all her strategic brilliance. Humanity's strength wasn't their adaptability or their engineering prowess. It was this: their ability to carry unbearable losses and still choose to care for others, to keep fighting, to honor the dead by fiercely protecting the living. Outside, the rain continued to fall. But inside, for the first time in years, Marcus Webb didn't cry alone. And perhaps that made all the difference.